so I want to kind of pivot to the structure of GHF and also the broader agenda of the GHF on the ground. First, because you mentioned these cameras at Kerem Shalom and how much surveillance they're conducting on the local population, this was actually foreshadowed in planning documents, which the Washington Post reported on back in May. They wrote the planning documents anticipated public skepticism. I love the use of that term, and preemptively prepared talking points in case the GHF encountered allegations likening its food distribution hubs and residential compounds to, quote, concentration camps with biometrics, or comparing the organization to Blackwater, a former U.S. mercenary firm implicated in violence against civilians in Iraq. Now, what you see at these so-called distribution hubs are lots and lots of young men who represent the strongest member of each family, who've been sent out to collect a box of food or flour so that their families can survive. But from the Israeli perspective, these represent they're all terrorists essentially, or they represent potential Hamas frontline fighters, Nukba commandos. So they would presumably want to lure this population to a heavily surveilled, heavily militarized area, and then target them, including with, as this planning document mentioned, biometrics to get their faces on camera, get them in the database. Is that something you saw happening? To what extent is GHF, Safe Reach Solutions, carrying out biometric surveillance on behalf of Israeli intelligence?
You know, sir, I have been searching for the way to describe that, and you just laid it out perfectly. You are absolutely correct. Fact. Every camera, or excuse me, every site, secure distribution sites 1, 2, 3, and 4, are all equipped with 6 high definition, full view, zoom, trackable cameras. Of those 6 cameras, one of the 6 is further equipped with a biometric capability to where it can scan the crowd and facial recognition software. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And I would ask everybody, look, this is not Tony Aguilar making this up. Anybody out there today, Google Safe Reach Solutions and go to their website where they're saying job opportunities in the Middle East. And 8 of those job opportunities are for an intelligence analyst. Why does a humanitarian assistance mission need an intelligence analyst? That's a military operation.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you why. Because in the Joint Operations Center, every one of those cameras at every one of those sites has a dedicated intelligence analyst that sits there 24/7 and does biometric data gathering on the population, on the crowd, on the group of people that are coming to the sites. And then what do they do with that information? They turn it around and they're building a biometric database of every single human being that fits their description of a military-aged male. Then from that, they build these mugshots. I've seen it with my own eyes. There's proof of it. It's in Safe Reach Solutions' own situation reports that they send to GHF every day. So, are they absolutely using these sites to lure the population to their locations? Yes. All the distribution sites are built far away from the population in need. So therefore, anybody and everybody that wants to get to the sites has to travel a great distance. To me, that is called luring. That is displacement. And then when they are there, the reason, and now because I asked myself this, why are the entrances and the exits so small? Like, why do we have thousands of people coming through this entrance that's this small? Well, I'll tell you why. The size, the length of the entrance perfectly fits the framing of the camera at distance from the pole that it sits on to frame the entrance perfectly for the biometric camera. That entrance wasn't built that size out of coincidence. It was built for purpose. And its purpose is not to allow the efficient flow of human beings onto a site to get food. The purpose was for collecting biometrics of the population as they came in. That's why they were built that way. It's shocking.
Yeah. And I think there's a longer term plan here that the Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz announced back in June, around the same time that the GHF initiated its mission. And I've seen this in previous planning documents that we revealed at the Grayzone back in February or January, which were Boston Consulting helped produce.
Mm-hmm.
And this is for essentially biometric concentration camps after the population is forcibly transferred out of the north. Gaza City's destroyed. This is the Guardian. Israeli plan for forced transfer of Gaza population, a blueprint for crimes against humanity. Israel's defense minister has laid out plans to force all Palestinians in Gaza into a camp on the ruins of Rafah in a scheme that legal experts and academics described as a blueprint for crimes against humanity. He called for establishing a, quote, humanitarian city on the ruins of Rafah, reported Haaretz. And if you read the Haaretz report, there's a mention of a distribution hub inside that city of 500,000, which will be closed off through a kind of biometric wall, and no one will be allowed to leave unless they go through Egypt. So do you see this as part of a larger agenda to build these kinds of camps, and GHF in on this?
Not only do I see it theoretically, I saw it physically. Here's the truth. Yeah. Here are the facts. That is already underway. Out of the 4 secure distribution sites, 3 of them were in the south of the Marag corridor in what used to be Rafah, and 1 is up near the Netzarim corridor. The one that's up near the Netzarim corridor is being shut down in terms of its use, not going to use it anymore. And they're focusing all of the effort now into the 3 into the south. Site number 1, secure distribution site number 1, is so large, as it was built originally, that you could put all 4 distribution sites onto it. And all of us asked from the beginning, like, why is site 1 so big? No one hesitated to tell us from Safe Reach Solutions. Site 1 is the foundation of phase 3. Phase 3, what's that? Well, phase 3 is when we design the humanitarian assistance transit area where all of the Palestinians will be brought south to live. And this will be the main hub that supports them. So everything that you just said, oh, that's not a theory. That's in reality. And if you look at satellite imagery right now, or you get anybody to be an independent face to go in, secure distribution site number 1 right now is under construction. What is it being under construction for? Because they're expanding it and building it because phase 3 has been approved. UG Solutions and the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation have been funded with the $30 million they got from the State Department and the $30 million they got matched to that from these international donors, this secret cabal of Western European countries that nobody will tell us who it is.
Yeah.
They are now funded through December. That is a fact. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is fully funded to continue to operate at full level until December. What is being built? That humanitarian assistance transit village, if you will, where everybody will be moved to the south and live in that area where this humanitarian assistance transit area will service that population. Not to maintain that population, but as a way of they get moved out from where they live, they spend some time there, and they get processed on out of Gaza. Where they go, I don't know. But that plan, that's not a blueprint. That is a plan. That is being done. That is happening time now.
So GHF is part of a plan for concentration camps, and phase 3 is essentially the final solution. And that would be my interpretation. Gaza City's destruction is pivotal to this plan because you have to eliminate sort of free range Palestinians so they can be confined and they can't be able to, sustain their own mode of existence in their homes. It all kind of comes together and makes sense